Now I'm just going to add the Tardis light in. That's a reasonably quick job for what we need to do. We don't need to make it look very stylish or anything, we just need to make it light up is one of the main things. So what I'm just going to press now, actually first I'm just going to get rid of this menu, so press N, there we go, more space to use. And now what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to select the inside of this box here. So there, the other side, and then a teeny bit more. Oh, there we go. And now if I press Shift S, cursor selected, it will put it in the middle, which is where we want our light to be. So now if I press Shift A, add a cube, and shrink it down, obviously. I've actually made it part of the TARDIS so far, but so I'm just gonna select the this cube, and I'm gonna separate it because it could come up with a few problems otherwise. So I'm just gonna quickly make the cube fit a little nicer into the more nicely into the thing. There we go. Bit more lamp shape, and I'm gonna join up all these sides. A bit wider, longer. I'm just scaling it along the X and Y axis, so that's S, X, and SY. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna scale it a little more along the Y axis. There we go. Right, so next thing we want to do is we want to give it a completely new material, because by doing it in there, I actually got loads of random material, so I'm just going to remove all those slots. And now I'm going to add a new material. I'm going to call it light. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it a kind of slightly kind of yellowy colour. Actually, a very yellow colour. Although it is sort of blue, so I'm going to make it a light blue, very slight light blue for now. For now, I'm going to make it a very slight light blue. We can always change that later. And I'm going to turn up the emit value to 1. Let's just see how that looks in render. So, to go to the camera view, press 0 on your numpad, and then press F12 to go to this view. And there we go. We've got our light there. I'll show you what it would be like if we didn't have the emit on. Basically what the emit does is exactly what it says on the tin. It emits light. So if we just turn it down to 0, F12, it's not lit up at all. So actually I'm going to show you the difference by rendering this now in a different render slot. You can change the render slots by going here. So if you go back to 1, there's 1 render. If I change the emit here, render it again. In slot 2, and I can change between slot 1 and slot 2, and you can see the difference. And the great thing about this later is, what you can do with the emit values, you can animate it. So you can actually make the light fade on and off, which is a really nice touch, I think. So that's just our basic light setup for now. We can always add a bit more on later. And now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up the lights in the scene, just so you can get a better view of it quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the world icon. I'm going to change this to black, the background to black. The horizontal colour is kind of the background colour I found. So now if you render it now, it's a black, which looks much nicer against the TARDIS at the moment. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this light object, this emits the light, I'm going to bring it to the camera. This is the camera, by the way, if you didn't know. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the light down here, and then I'm going to bring the camera down. So if we go into camera view, which is numpad 0, and then if we press F no, Shift F, then we can do the camera fly around, so you can actually move the camera by scrolling. By scrolling with your mouse wheel, and also moving your mouse thing. So there we go. We just move it here. We get a nice view of the TARDIS. Now if I select the lamp and bring it down to around the camera view, now that would look okay, but it doesn't look very natural, does it? It doesn't really look like a very natural light setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the light here, and then I'm going to go into the light settings, which is here, and I'm going to change it to an area lamp. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the kind of basic outside light setup, or one that I found works for me. All we want to do is we just want to turn it into an area lamp. So you see it lights up the whole side. Now obviously that looks a bit too bright, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn the energy down to 0.8. Now that's still very light, but another thing we can do is we can turn down the distance that it lights up. So if we turn that down to, say, I don't know, let's try 10. See how it is. There you go. It's still a bit lit up, so I'm just gonna rise it up a bit. Rise it up. Lift up the light a bit above the TARDIS, so it's more like a sun. Now we could use sun, but I found it's nicer effect with the area lamp. I'm just going to give the lamp a slight yellow tinge, very slight, very close to the white. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the light, Shift D, to the other side of the TARDIS. What I'm going to do now with this light is I'm going to make the colour a kind of dark blue. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the energy to something like 0.2. And I'm going to turn it into a Hemi. And you see it kind of gives it a kind of more natural effect. It doesn't look completely realistic, but it looks better than it would do with the light setup we had. You see how the handles don't look so bad from this angle, and also obviously the light looks a bit strange because it's just a cube. So what I'm just going to do quickly, I just zoom in on the cursor, which is Control full stop, bring it in, and then I'm going to make this go up a bit there. There we go. So we can't see where the light ends. Now, obviously, basically what this light's doing is it's kind of creating a more kind of shadowed effect here. Not really shadow effect, but it's kind of giving it a nice deep blue colour.